Hello everyone and welcome back to Coach Craig's Sports. Today is Thursday, July 7th, and this is the MLB DFS video for today. So in today's video, we'll be taking a quick look back at yesterday's picks, seeing how they turned out. Talking about my core plays for today, it is a 9-game main slate overall, and then going over to my article over at WeBetATS.com and talking about my top GPP stacks for the FanDuel main slate for today as well. But without further ado, we'll get started with the recap of yesterday's picks. At the pitcher position, we had Aaron Nola, $10,500. Only got 27 points yesterday. Kind of a weird day for him overall. Just didn't quite have the strikeouts there. Then he trotted back out in the 8th inning and gave up a couple runs. So unfortunately, I did give him a miss yesterday since he only got 27 points. Then at first base, we had Freddie Freeman, $4,200. Very, very good history against Jose Urena, who was the starting pitcher yesterday for the Colorado Rockies. And honestly, he somehow pitched well. I'm not quite sure how that happened, but hey, it's baseball. Anything can happen on any given day. So Freddie Freeman only ended up with 3 points, so he ended up being a miss yesterday. Then at third base, we had Josh Rojas at $2,700. Got to 12.7 points, so he was a hit. And the third overall third baseman on yesterday's slate. Then in the outfield, we had JD Martinez at $3,300. Got to 6.5 points. Did give him a push yesterday, expecting just a little bit more out of him. Obviously, he was not a guy that killed us overall, but not a guy that helped us either at the same time. Then last but not least, we had Cody Bellinger at $2,600. Kind of chasing some home runs upside with him yesterday. Ended up with 3 hits and a stolen base instead. So it's kind of nice there. I ended up with 21.4 points, so he was a hit overall. So a little bit of hit or miss day yesterday. If you had some other decent plays alongside these 5, you probably had an okay chance of cashing yesterday, but a little bit tougher slate overall. But with that being said, we'll get moved over to the core picks for today. So we're going to start off with the pitcher position. We're going to start off with Tony Gonsolin at $10,000. I think if you wanted to pay down a little bit, you could go down to Spencer Strider, I believe, at $8,600. But Tony Gonsolin is going to be my preferred candidate today, averaging just over 35 fantasy points per game. Been pitching very, very well as of late. One of the best pitchers in all of baseball at this point in time. Goes against the Chicago Cubs. Probably not going to put up much of a fight against him. He has very, very limited history versus these Cubs hitters. But the history that he does have is very good. So I would not be surprised if he is the top overall pitcher on the slate and has a very good start once again today. Then we move down to second baseman, Ketel Marte, $3,100. Averaging just over 9 fantasy points per game on the season, goes against the Colorado Rockies and Austin Gomber today. He is 4 for 6 with 2 home runs versus Gomber in his career, so definitely offers a lot of upside there today. Then at third base, we have his teammate Josh Rojas at $2,800. Obviously, we played him yesterday. He's been hitting the ball very well as of late. Another guy that's averaging over 9 fantasy points per game in the season. Has pretty good history versus Austin Gomber as well, as he's 4 for 5 versus him in his career. Then we move down to outfield with Mike Trout at $3,800, averaging just over 12.5 fantasy points per game on the season. Goes against the Baltimore Orioles and Jordan Lyles today. Obviously, Jordan Lyles is a pitcher that could blow up on any given start. And Mike Trout is 8 for 18 with 2 home runs versus him in his career, so definitely a ton of upside there. And at $3,800, that's one of the cheapest price tags you're probably going to see for Mike Trout all season long. Then last but not least, we're going right back to Cody Bellinger at $2,600, averaging over 9 fantasy points per game on the season. As I mentioned yesterday, a little bit of boom bust to his game. You're going to have some 0 games in there, but you're also going to have some big performances like we saw yesterday. Goes against Mark Leiter Jr. today. Not a very good starting pitcher by any means. More of a spot starter at this point in his career, kind of guy that bounces between AAA and the majors. So that's pretty much what we've seen out of him. Cody Bellinger has no history versus him, but I think it's another matchup that he could take advantage of once again today. But with that being said, if you go with these 5 players that I do have listed here, you have $12,700 remaining, just under $3,200 per player. So a couple different ways that we could approach today's slate. If you want to pay up for another player and pay down at some other positions, there's definitely spots to be able to do that on today's slate overall. Or if you want to take a little bit more balance to build, that should be viable as well. But with that being said, we'll get moved over to my article over at WeBetATS.com and talk about my top GPP stacks for today. So we're going to start off with the Los Angeles Angels, as I've already mentioned with Mike Trout there going against Jordan Lyles. Jordan Lyles, one of those pitchers that's liable to blow up on any given start. Also has pretty poor history versus some of these Angels hitters, including Mike Trout. Jonathan VR is there as well, who's recently joined the team. And then a couple other guys here and there. I would not be surprised if they are able to put up some runs today overall. Then we have the Chicago White Sox going against Bo Brisky of the Detroit Tigers. These White Sox hitters have no history versus him. Typically favors the pitcher, but Brisky has not been pitching very well as of late. And then we move over to the New York Yankees. They're going against the Red Sox today. Josh Winkowski's out there. He's actually pitched fairly decent so far in his young MLB career, but no history against the Yankees. This is a team that put up a bunch of runs yesterday. Granted, it was against the Pirates pitchers, but Winkowski's not that polished of a pitcher at this point in time. Still relatively young and unproven, so could be some pretty good upside there once again. And then last but not least, I know it didn't really pan out yesterday with the Dodgers, but going against Mark Leiter Jr., hard to see the Dodgers kind of only putting up 2 runs on back-to-back days, so definitely would have some interest in them today. There's a couple other teams that could be in the mix today as well. Pretty good day to stack. Obviously, I do have 2 Arizona hitters in my core 5. If you want to do a small stack with them, or if you want to mix in a couple other guys, you could definitely do that as well. But with that being said, these are my core 5 picks as well as top GPP stacks for today, July 7th. As always, if you have any questions related to MLB DFS, be sure to leave them down in the comments below and I'll get back to you as quickly as possible. Also, be sure to let me know your favorite play on today's slate, whether it's someone from my core 5 picks, whether it's someone from my top GPP stacks, or whether it's a completely different player you guys think I missed. Definitely interested in hearing what you have to say. But with that being said, if you are new to my channel, please consider subscribing. Definitely would appreciate it. Helps to build the community that we're trying to build here at Coach Craig Sports, which is one that's truly for you, the viewers, helping you with your DFS. Mainly MLB at this point in time since that's the major sport going on. But once we get back around to the NFL and NBA regular seasons, I'll be covering those 2 sports as well. And then with that being said, if you are newer current subscribers yet to do so, also be sure to hit that notification bell down below. It's going to let you know every single time I post up a new video. Like I've been saying, I post up daily MLB DFS videos just like this. But with that being said, that's all I have for today's video. Hopefully you all enjoyed. And then last but not least, special little shout out to each and every one of you watching today's video. I truly do appreciate you taking the time out of your day to watch this video. Definitely means a lot to me, and I hope each and every one of you has a great rest of your day.